Hello, my name is Kenya Stanford Singleton, and I am the Client Delivery Manager here at CSP. And I wanted to take some time today to meet with our VP of Growth, Jesse Farley, on a concept that we at CSP have been developing for quite some time. And I believe it's going to change the view of content and SEO. See, here's the thing. In the world of SEO, it's a fact that content is and always will be king in both the eyes of the user and Google. So that said, the algorithm is constantly changing and shifting and adapting to the shifts in search behavior and what types of content the searcher finds valuable. So in this adaptation, Google has developed its content marketing framework, EAT, E-E-A-T, to provide a positive and factual user interaction with different brands. So today I just wanted to take some time to talk about this concept with Jesse so that he can kind of explain more about the EAT concept, but also taking it to the next level with advanced SEO and calling it M.E.E.E.A.T, M-E-E.E.A.T. So I'm going to bring Jesse into the room so we can help folks understand what it is and how to put more just meat on the bone for the users and for Google. So I am admitting Jesse to the meeting right now. And again, he does a great job of explaining the EAT concept and then the advanced M.E.E.E.T concept. Hey, Jesse.
Good morning. How are you?
I was sitting here talking to our viewers today just about EAT and the concept that we're developing here at CSP, which is M.E.E.E.T, which is pretty much your concept. So if you could just talk about it a little more and just give some insights to what we're doing over here.
No, good topic. Yeah, it's become ever more prevalent out there in SEO these days, where even right off Google straight up tells you. I mean, you can look on their developer center and see that EAT is a content framework. Before we get into EAT, it's probably good at what Google's used to seeing from a content perspective. The traditional SEO is you come in, you target a keyword phrase, you might do some persona work, but most SEOs are focusing on getting keyword ranking. And so Google has put together a framework that allows them to do that. So when you write content, right, it's about creating a theme, a thematic way of presenting it from the user search term, right? You've got meta tags that are in there. You've got H1 tags, all the on-page SEO. But as you go to write content, it was really just about focusing on a topic, and if you could do that with all the other SEO stuff, you were pretty much good. Well, what happened is Google switched game as usual, right? Google's constantly switching that game, so keeping us SEOs on our toes. But that's really what they were looking for. What they're looking for now is an entryway for someone to make a purchase or make a decision, right? It's an emotional decision. So just writing some content is not going to be it. And so they came up with EAT. And they're like, how do we make sure that content is viable, it's accurate, it's on par with an audience? And so they wanted to just give a framework, which was EAT. And so you've got expertise, experience, authority, and then in the middle of that equals trustworthiness with the user. And the user then, obviously wants to engage in your content, purchase your product, convert of some capacity. And so it's really about gaining their trust that the information you're providing them is valuable and helps guide them from like step 1 to step 2 to step 3 to step 4. It's not just about a topic that you can talk about. It's got to be leading. And so when we break down EAT as a whole, let's take each one of the EATs. And so I use a lot of analogies. And so today we're going to use the analogy of explaining EAT through like attorneys. Okay. So authority would be, Jesse Farley, went to Harvard Law, passed the bar. I'm now an authority because I have creds, right?
Right.
Then you get into the expertise. My expertise is criminal law. Okay, maybe specifically, DUIs or law that would have to do with like a criminal citation of something like that. So that's my expertise. Okay, because I've got a focus area, if you will. Experience is like how many cases I've tried, how many years I've been doing it,
Right.
what were some notable things, like actual hands-on doing that work. And then you've got trustworthiness. So if I have a Harvard law degree and I specialize in criminal law, and then I've tried a bunch of cases, the chances of me being knowledgeable and for someone to trust what I say is being that is greater than the guy or gal next to me. Okay. Mm-hmm. That's the concept of E.E.E.T. If you look at things like Wikipedia, anyone could put information there. Well, it's a little misleading if someone's looking to provide their information for something and or purchase a product that might be heavy in value. And so Google really wanted to get away from the old school keyword stuffing and thousands of blog posts. And you get into content bloat, and now you got to figure out which ones work good. So it really helps focus. And so what I believe, as we started to think about E.E.T. in our own clients, and we survived a lot of the helpful content update because we employed E.E.T. principles and tactics. There's still a whole other technical side of E.E.T. on how that gets done, but we can talk about that in maybe another video or something sometime on how you circle it or connect the metaphorical dots, if you will.
Absolutely.
But two things I think that are missing, right, is, so we back up for a moment. We look at the new GA4, okay? And we talk about how the collection methodology, and really GA4 changed on its head, where it used to be session-based. You'd have a set of JavaScript, you activate the JavaScript, it starts recording what you do. Now you have to create an action, which means that is an engagement factor, okay? So now analytics tools are measuring engagement. But we don't talk about that in content marketing now, do we?
We do not.
We don't. So that's interesting. So we'll table that for a moment. And then we look at people and their consumption of content behavior, okay? Who cares? No matter what they're watching, okay? I personally am not a big fan of reading articles. I think they're dry, they're boring. It's probably what I would read before I went to bed. I was the picture book kid growing up. I wanted to make sure I looked at the pictures. I wanted hands-on. So it kind of popped in my head one day, was like, multimedia. I would rather watch a YouTube video on how to connect the water hose to my refrigerator than I would reading an article with schematics. It got me thinking. It's not about what content we're creating. It's about the method in which we're delivering the content so the user at least consumes it. So if you think about it, I'm not a big fan of reading. I'd rather hear it or watch it. And all you have is an article. You've probably not engaged me as a user, and the chances of me converting are probably farther away from the conversion metric than we want. But if you delivered it to me in a manner that I could understand, and frankly, I choose to do that, now you have me it's a little bit more sticky. And then you create engagement on that article or that blog post or that piece of content. And now guess what? Google Analytics is registering it as some sort of engagement level. So you think about it. And how I came to this was I was watching my 12-year-old son. And he's watching a YouTube video of these kids playing games. And I walked in there and I go, "You're not going to play the game? You're going to watch it?" He goes, "Yeah, it's really entertaining to me to see how people go through the game." I go, "Do you pick up pointers?" And he goes, "Yeah, sometimes, but for me, it's entertainment." And then I got thinking about, well, the new generation, if they're doing that, and they're not even playing video games, they're watching video games on YouTube and streaming, we got to get content ready for what's coming. Not what's here today, because today is here. What is the future hold, right? And I doubt, my 12-year-old son's going to be the one who's going to jump in there, but it's a trigger point. And so I started asking around, started asking my friends. I started looking at different age groups and things like that and what they latch onto. So I have an 18-year-old daughter, and she's a little bit different. She would prefer to read than watch video. So I'm like, all right, cool. So that kind of further shows that individuals are lined up and ready to consume content in the way they feel most
comfortable. Yep.
right?
Yep.
And so for me, the need right now in the SEO industry is really a disruptive methodology. We need to disrupt because it's been the same thing over and over and over again of people creating articles and hoping that they rank really high so that they can support a pillar and cluster SEO strategy. Support it 110%. But we've got to take it to the next level. Okay. When you start looking at a lot of the things that we do on a regular basis is, what we call content bloat, and most of it happens in the blog. All of these blog posts that they design to create rankings get very little traffic, have very little SEO value, because frankly, you're just pumping out content to pump out content. There's really no user you're trying to target with it. It's just content for content's sake because some SEO agency or your SEO manager or someone in-house or out-of-house said, hey, I read an article that says more content's better. I challenge more content's better. Better
Yeah.
content's better, right?
Agree. Yep.
And so you start thinking about now you got AI. AI is starting to play a role in there. Google comes out and goes, AI is not bad, but it has to be written for a user.
That's right.
Well, by those guidelines, if the user, written for user, chooses to consume it via video, I can use AI to do that. There's nothing wrong with AI. People are using it to game the system and create crazy amounts of content to flood the SERP. Well, Google said enough's enough. So then they started adding extra E's and they started, right, tightening the grip on all of it, right? Look at all these updates that have happened. You had what, 4 in Q4 of last year? You had 1 in January. I'm pretty sure I saw 1 in February that started just
Unconfirmed.
unconfirmed. It's still not done.
Right.
So Google's constantly changing the rules. So, we here at CSP are like, we're not going to get stagnant. Okay.
That's right.
I've been doing SEO for about just shy of 25 years. And I've watched this industry change. And what we're doing is we're just coming back to the same old circle, which is know your audience, what their needs are, what their motivations are, what are their frustrations, and present content that helps guide them to either capturing their motivations and facilitating that motivation, or helping them get to a goal, whether that be in step 1, step 2, step 7, step 10, it doesn't really matter. But it also helps them deal with their frustration. They went searching for something because they couldn't find the answer. They didn't know the answer, so they went. You don't know what you don't know. So what do? You go to a place that should know. So you go look for it and you spend all your time searching. And so as we start to wrap up M.E.E.E.T, it's really about, and we kind of coined a phrase like putting the meat on the bone. Content and just a written article, there's no meat there. There's nothing that holds me there and lets me, lets me eat. Lack of a better way of putting it. It won't let me eat because there's nothing to eat. I don't like fat on my steak. Maybe that's the article, but you presented me a steak with a whole bunch of fat on it. So, we can go through 10,000 analogies, but, that's kind of my, overtake on eat. And then as we translate into meat, it's something I know I personally have worked hard on for probably the last year. And then obviously Helpful Content Update came and jump started that because we started to see impacts in our clients. And, Pillar and Cluster is a great marketing framework to work on from an SEO perspective. We still do that here, and we will probably continue to do that because it's been here for a long time. Hero Hub, hygiene, levels of content. We can talk about that potentially in another video, but I hope that helps kind of break that down for you.
Yeah. Definitely.
Any other questions you got on this?
No, so I just want to kind of wrap it up and put a pretty bow on it. So M.E.E.E.T would be M.E.E.E.A.T, right? For multimedia, engagement, experience, expertise, authoritativeness, and trustworthiness. The complete framework for an advanced or content strategy, right? That Google can eat off of because there's more meat on the bone, just to help it with putting really helpful content into the SERP.
Yeah, 100%. We focus on the user.
Mhm.
Google's a configure, right? For the user, communicate to them and configure it for Google. If you do that, the reason why I've been doing it 25 years, it
Yeah.
works.
How about that? How about that? In my almost 20 years experience, it still works, right? Well,
Yep.
thank you so much for hanging out with me and doing this quick video for us today, Jesse. So in conclusion, I mean, it's just simple to say that SEO is becoming more complex, right? It's a simple, SEO is kind of simple, but to put it all together is a little more complex. And businesses need not just an advanced SEO strategy to compete in today's SERP landscape, but like a disruptive one, because there's so much noise in the SEO industry on what's important that the simple side of SEO gets lost, although it is kind of complex when you put all of the pieces of this puzzle together.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
Yeah. All right, well, I will wrap it up here. Thank you to everyone who just gave
Yeah.
up some of your time to watch this video. Thank you to Jesse Farley, our VP of Growth here at CSP. And I hope that it has provided you, the viewer, with some valuable insights. Again, I am Kenya Stanford Singleton. We are CSP and look forward to talking to you about your content strategy.